Welcome to Ms. K's math class. In today's video, we will look at multiplying fractions. To multiply two fractions, we need to multiply the numerators together and multiply the denominators together. So you know that the numerator is the top bit, so the C here and the A, they're the numerators. And it says to multiply the numerators together. So we will just need to multiply A and C. So this is going to be AC over, and then multiply the denominators together. Denominators are the bottom guys, so the B and the D. So I'll just write D for denominators, and so it becomes B times D, so it is BD. Now let's look at an example with the numbers. So the bottom fraction here says we have 3 over 7 times 2 over 5. So we just need to multiply the numerators together and the denominators together. So we would go 3 times 2 over 7 times 5. So that becomes 3 times 2 is 6 and 7 times 5 is 35. In this example, we have 3 over 4 or 3/4 times 5 over 7. So once again, times the numerator together and times the denominators together. So we would write 3 times 5 over 4 times 7 and then work it out. 3 times 5 is equal to 15 and 4 times 7 is equal to 28. But what about when you have a question like this one on the bottom? I have a 4 as a whole number and I have 3 over 5. Well, when you have a whole number, you know that it can be written as 4 over 1. So we can write it as 4 over 1 times 3 over 5. 4 times 3 is equal to 12. And 1 times 5 is equal to 5. So the answer for this question is 12 over 5. In this example, we have 1/4 times 5. When we have a whole number, like the one shown here, we know that we can put 1 as its denominator and it will still be equal. So for example, 5 can be written as 5 over 1. 5 over 1 means 5 divided by 1. And we know that that equals to 5. We can put any number. So say, for example, if we have 20, 20 can be written as a fraction by putting a 1 underneath as its denominator, because 20 over 1 is the same thing as 20 divided by 1, and that equals to 20. So any number, which I'll call n, can be written as n over 1. So going back to our question over here where we have 1 over 4 times 5, we can write it as 1 over 4 times 5 over 1, and then we are good to times the numerators together and the denominators together. So I would go 1 times 5 over 4 times 1, and that equals to 5 over 4. Next question over here, we have 1 over 2 or 1/2 surrounded by parentheses to the power of 2. To the power of 2 means you are timesing whatever's in the parentheses twice. So for me to expand this, it's going to look like 1 over 2 times 1 over 2. Then we can times the numerators together and the denominators together. So it's going to be 1 times 1 over 2 times 2. So it becomes 1 over 4. In this question, we have 2 over 3 or 2/3 raised to the power of 3. So that means whatever is in the parentheses has to be times 3 times. Notice that this doesn't mean that we are timesing by 3. It means that we have to times whatever's surrounded by parentheses 3 times. So that is going to look like 2 over 3 times 2 over 3 times 2 over 3. Then we can calculate by timesing the numerators together and the denominators together. So what is that going to look like? It's going to look like 2 times 2 times 2 over 3 times 3 times 3. What does that equal to? 2 times 2 is equal to 4. 4 times 2 equals to 8. 3 times 3 equals to 9. 9 times 3 equals to 27. Bottom question here, we have a mixed number, 1 1/3 times 3 over 5. When you have a mixed number and you're trying to multiply with another fraction, first step is to convert the mixed number into an improper fraction. So how do we do that? We will keep the bottom, the denominator, as it is. So the 3 has to stay as it is. Then we times. So 3 times 1 is equal to 3. And then you'll have to add. So 3 times 1 is equal to 3. This part over here, you times it. And then you add. So it's a 4. It means that 1 1/3 is the same thing as 4 over 3. Then we can times them. So write the mixed number as an improper fraction we just found out. It was 4 over 3 times 3 over 5. Then times the numerators together, 4 times 3, over denominators together, so 3 times 5. 4 times 3 is equal to 12, and 3 times 5 is equal to 15. With this lesson here, we're not going to go through simplifying fractions, but we will be focusing on timesing fractions only. So with 12 over 15, we can simplify further, but we're just going to leave it as it is. With this question, we have a mixed number surrounded by parentheses, and that is raised to a power of 2. So step 1 would be to convert the mixed number into an improper fraction, then expand the parentheses by timesing the fraction within the parentheses 2 times. So let me repeat that for you once again. Step 1, we will need to convert mixed number into improper fraction. And then we will need to expand the bracket or expand parentheses. So we'll have to square it. It's raised to the power of 2. Then we can multiply the fractions. So let's do step 1, where we need to convert the mixed number into an improper fraction. And to do that, we will first need to keep the denominator as it is. So I'm going to leave the 2 as my denominator. And then I will need to times the 2 and the 2. So it's a 4. And add the 1 on top. So my numerator is a 5 now. So that shows me that 2 and 1 over 2 is now equal to 5 over 2. It is still within the parentheses because I haven't expanded it yet, and the power is a 2. So this now means that 5 over 2 has to be times twice. Like this. And now we're up to step 3, where we multiply the fractions. So multiply numerator by numerator and denominator by denominator. 5 times 5 equals to 25, and the denominator of 2 times 2 equals to 4. Here is my last question for today's lesson. I have 1 over 3 surrounded by parentheses raised to the power of 2. Then we will times it by 6. So the first thing we have to do is get rid of the parentheses and the power. And the way to do that is to expand it. Now, when you have a fraction or any number surrounded by parentheses and that is raised to the power, we just need to times whatever's inside the parentheses twice. So I will have to write 1 over 3 times 1 over 3. Then I need to write times 6. And we saw earlier that if you have a whole number, to write it as a fraction form, we can write 1 underneath. Now that we have 1, 2, 3 fractions ready to be multiplied, we will take the numerators together and times it. So that is 1 times 1 times 6. And the denominators and times them together. So that is 3 times 3 times 1. 1 times 1 times 6 is equal to 6. 3 times 3 times 1 for the bottom equals to 9. So the answer to this question is 6/9. I hope you found today's lesson on multiplying fractions helpful. Like and subscribe for more videos. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.